coffin for him was the FBI had gotten one of Mastro employees to wear a wire. And this guy got Bill to tell him the story about how he had trimmed the card.
Bill Mastro discusses the condition of the card when he purchased it, talked about how it had bowed side borders shaped like a football, and how he trimmed the sides of that card in order to make it more attractive.
High-end sports card dealer and auction house owner Bill Mastro is one of the most notorious sports card scammers of all time. Mastro is well known for running a shill bidding scheme from 2002 to 2009, and the scam involved submitting phony bids to artificially drive up the price of online and live auctions. In 2015, Mastro was sentenced to 20 months in federal prison for the fraud. But during the FBI investigation into Bill Mastro, it was discovered that he trimmed the edges of a T206 Honus Wagner baseball card. This card just so happened to be the first ever card graded by PSA and is one of the most expensive cards of all time. Get more information on Bill Mastro by watching the American Greed episode linked in the description. It details all his crimes in the sports card world. Whenever we talk about card trimming, the name that always comes up is SGC founder Dave Foreman. You didn't hear a lot about SGC and Dave Foreman during the card trimming scandal of 2019 that we covered heavily over here at Sports Card Radio. That's because one of the people on the Blowout forums uncovering all the information about trim cards was connected heavily to SGC and didn't want to see them thrown under the bus. In some of my reporting during 2019, I was told to remove cards and comments I made about SGC because one of the sources was connected and may have even worked at SGC at one point. But the fact remains that Dave Foreman is one of the founding fathers of card trimming. Foreman's name is even connected to Bill Mastro, as Foreman is listed as a shill bidder on some of the items that Mastro auctioned. How does this impact SGC's business today? Foreman is apparently pretty hands-off, and the company is mostly ran by a guy I've talked to a couple different times and like quite a bit. His name is Peter.
Personally, I'm not thrilled with what I see.
There is some argument that these grading companies need someone like Dave Foreman in the room to determine what cards have been trimmed. There are very few people who know the card trimming and alteration world better than Dave Foreman. So has Dave Foreman crossed over to the good side and is now trying to prevent card trimming and fraud? Only the hobby can answer that question. Gary Moser, aka Scissorhands, is one of the most notorious card trimmers of all time. He teamed with PWCC to potentially trim tens of thousands of sports cards and make huge profits along the way. Here is just one small example of a Moser scam. In 2019, we received information of a 135 card submission Gary Moser sent to PSA, and then when the grading was finished, those cards were sent to PWCC for auction. 11 of the 135 cards were documented to be trimmed. 31 of the 135 cards, while at auction at PWCC, were shill bid by an account connected to Gary Moser. So much like Bill Mastro, Gary Moser would not only trim cards, but also shill bid his own auctions. But Gary Moser's connection to PWCC ran much deeper.
I don't know what word you want to use on the message boards. How have you guys reacted to the message boards, reaction to you guys? And why do you think that there's so much anger there?
Well, message boards are inherently, they're a mixture. They're a mixture of good, hard-nosed, like detective work and oversight combined with a tabloid. And so what you end up with is a mix. There's definitely people who I think care deeply about this market, trying to add value to it. There's no doubt in my mind. I know that for a fact. I also think for every one of those people, there's several others that are enjoying the drama and enjoying the attention that they may get for stating something slanderous or flamboyant. And for them, it's entertainment. Whatever. It's a...
Brent Huigens is closely connected to Gary Moser. It was found that an eBay account for Brent Huigens would buy raw vintage cards on eBay. Then those cards would end up in a Gary Moser PSA submission. And those cards were found to be trimmed. It's rumored that Gary Moser was the personal card trimmer for PWCC's owner, Brent Huigens. It's maybe why PWCC Director of Communication, Betsy Huigens, told Sports Card Radio in 2019, quote, "We are very aware of who Gary Moser is." About a year after our coverage of PWCC that detailed specific instances of shill bidding, online marketplace eBay kicked PWCC off its platform for, wait for it, shill bidding. Much like Bill Mastro a decade before him, it appears Brent Huigens was and maybe still is involved in trimming high-end sports cards and placing bids to manipulate the very market on some of those cards. Mastro spent time in prison for his crimes. It remains to be seen if Brent Huigens will ever face the music for his. Another card trimmer closely connected to PWCC is Will Jaimet, aka One Touch. In 2019, Jaimet teamed with PWCC employee Jesse Craig to produce a repack product called Heroes of Sport. Group Breakers, Blowout Cards, Cardsmith Breaks, Grand Slam Collectibles, and Leighton Sports Cards all participated in breaking the product. The product featured tons of trimmed sports cards and caused headaches for the breakers associated with Heroes of Sport, as you can see from this correspondence we had with one of them. Jaimet not only pumped trimmed cards into his product, but because of his close association with PWCC employee Jesse Craig, Jaimet pumped tons of trimmed cards onto the PWCC marketplace. One small example are 9 of these 2009 Donruss Elite Mike Trout autograph cards have been trimmed by Will Jaimet. 9 of them. Just a small example of Will Jaimet's scams that he's perpetrated on the hobby. They were all sold, by the way, on the PWCC marketplace. Not a whole lot of people will say bad things about card trimmer Eric Bitz. It's rumored one of the founders of Card Ladder designed the Buy Nice Cards website for Eric, and Eric for years has dealt in high-end sports cards that others want. If you have cards others want in this industry, people will be nice to you. There is significant evidence that Bitz has been involved in trimming and altering many copies of one of the most important sports cards of all time, the 2003-04 exquisite LeBron James rookie card. Many people in the hobby want this card, and Eric Bitz has had copies of this card over the years, trimmed them, and got BGS to grade them. How many of you know that at least 8 of these LeBron James exquisite cards, serial numbered at 99, have been trimmed? 8 of them. And Eric Bitz is one of the people involving these LeBron James rookie cards. Jeff Wilson's buddy Jason Koonce has long been known to be one of the early card trimmers in this industry. Koonce is well connected in this industry. He's buddies with Gary V and runs a 5th-tier grading company called ISA. People in the industry say you need to watch out for Jason Koonce. I'll tell you something right now. If this guy ever approached me at a card show or anywhere else, he'd get dealt with real quick. It's a shame people look up to this clown, interview him, lob him softballs, all because he has cards that they want. Just remember, if you want to become big in this hobby, just obtain cards people want, and all your sins will be forgiven. Robert Fat Kid on the Block would trim everything from modern cards to vintage cards. Block was able to turn this PSA 9 Michael Jordan rookie card into a PSA 10. Robert Block trimmed 16 Upper Deck Ionics Tom Brady rookie cards, 16 of them. Block was even able to turn one into a BGS 10 Black Label. From modern cards to vintage cards, every big name card and set has been impacted by card trimming, and Robert Fat Kid on the Block is one who has chopped a lot up. Evan Mathis was busy playing in the NFL when most people already mentioned. In this video, we're knee deep in the card trimming game. An interesting question for Mathis would be who taught him how to trim and alter sports cards. I doubt it's something he picked up while playing in the NFL and in NFL locker rooms. It's rumored that Mathis and many other card trimmers are banned by PSA and the grading companies. What should happen to these card trimmers? What should their status in the hobby be? That isn't something I can decide. It's only something you guys out there in this hobby who care so deeply about these cards and their values can decide for yourself.